have many regulators. There are problems that are falling between the cracks. There is regulatory turf conflicts. When there are two different regulators, they will always have certain areas of inconsistency. We will keep on having these kinds of problems until we get a proper financial regulatory architecture into place.
Sebi had sectoral laws. This is the first non-sectoral law where the same rules apply to everybody. I think that is the most important thing.
Welcome back. The Financial Sector Legislative Reforms Commission, the FSLRC, appointed by the government to reform the financial sector regulations, has come out with a far-reaching report. The FSLRC has proposed the creation of a unified financial regulator and limiting the role of the Reserve Bank of India to monetary management. Will this help to streamline the maze of rules, regulations and regulators in the financial sector? Will this help set up a system which will be able to withstand a financial crisis? And will consumers' rights be protected? To discuss this, we are joined by Dr. Subir Gokarn, Director of Research, Brookings India and former Deputy Governor of the RBI. We also have with us Mr. R.S. Loona, Managing Partner, Alliance Captain and former ED of the Sebi, which is the stock markets regulator. We've got Dr. Brinda Jagirdar, a business economist. We've got Mr. D.R. Mehta, former Chairman of the Sebi. And we have a former Deputy Governor of the RBI joining us from Jaipur. And we've got Mr. Ashok Kumar Jha, former Finance Secretary, who I spoke to a short while back as well. Welcome to the discussion to We Mean Business. Dr. Gokarn, let me start with you first. Now, once the report has come out, there is a little bit of feeling with a number of people that the RBI's regulatory powers have been clipped, and this perhaps is not a good precedent. What is your take on this?
Well, I think the way to approach this set of recommendations analytically is to do a sort of a blue sky approach, which is to say, look, what is the kind of regulatory framework or regulatory architecture we need for a financial sector that is fulfilling, so many objectives, many of them critical to development and to stability, and how are these functions to be allocated across different components of the regulatory framework. And in doing that, you obviously have to think in terms of what's working and what isn't. Can you tweak things or actually restructure things drastically if necessary to get things to work better? From that perspective, I think the best way to look at it is not in terms of regulatory turf, whether it is RBI or anybody else. And let's not forget that if this unified regulatory architecture is to come into being, it would mean that Sebi, IRDA, PFRD and the FMC, the Forward Markets Commission, at least as I understand it, would disappear. They would be terminated as entities, as agencies, and they would all the functions subsumed into one entity. So this is actually a pretty drastic change in the structure, and I think the way to evaluate it is not that turf has been eroded or turf has been taken away, but is this going to help improve things? And I think on each of the elements, each of the suggestions that the Commission has made, there has got to be a debate on both the theory, which is in ideal circumstances would it help to improve things, and the practicality, which is given our conditions, given our ethos, given our culture, our history and everything else, are these recommendations going to make things better or worse in the environment in which they are going to be implemented?